Taxing unrealized gains is an insanely bad idea. This is what Thomas Lee from Fundstrat, we interviewed him like about a decade ago, almost a decade ago. Now, he's retweeting something from Fred Krueger, who said on July 1st, it looks like that Australia will pass the first tax on unrealized capital gains for people with over 300 or 3 million AUD, Aussie dollars, in assets about 2 million USD. That includes Bitcoin. So that means that people are going to be taxed even though they didn't sell. So they're probably going to have to be forced to sell. Very interesting. And several years, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, I first heard about this because people in the United States government were actually talking about unrealized capital gains tax. And I said, I know governments. I know what they're doing. They're just putting little seeds in you to get you used to the idea, to start talking, see how far they can get away with, you know what I mean? Australia is kind of like a test bed in this. You know, they were like one of the worst places for the lockdown, and now they're putting this on their citizens. They're really testing their patience, all right? But I also said back about 4 years ago that this will eventually go to the United States. And now I got a lot of hate for that, like, yeah, you're crazy, whatever. And so I'm like, listen, they're going to test it other places. I said this about 4 years ago. They're going to test it in other places, and then they'll eventually go back to the United States. It might not be anytime soon, but eventually that will happen. In my opinion, I think it's very likely. So not only are people going to be taxed on any income they get, but the value of the assets that they hold. That's insanity, okay? That's total theft if you haven't realized. Let's talk about more theft here. So we all know that the Department of Justice stole 144,000 Bitcoin from Ross Ulbricht, but luckily, you know, the free market steps in and gave Ross 300 Bitcoin worth about $31 million. I think it was just yesterday that happened. So that is really cool. The free market kind of sticking up for the guys that were actually created the first marketplace that used Bitcoin, which is incredible. Good thing he's not in Australia, because that would suck. That would take a lot of that. Here's another crazy thing. Ross Ulbricht's prison cards sold for auction for 11 Bitcoin worth $1 million, or just over $1 million. That is wild. So another one, we have Michael Saylor begging maybe. Let's talk about Bitcoin, Joe Rogan, or hey, Joe Rogan, let's talk about Bitcoin. So Andreas Antonopoulos, if you don't know who that is a Bitcoin OG. One of the first people to teach me about Bitcoin, me and Heidi. And he went on Joe Rogan about 8 years ago. He taught a lot of, it's just gold. It's a golden interview. You watch this, sit down with your family, watch this interview. I'm going to post this right here. And it makes me wonder, what is Michael Saylor going to offer that Andreas Antonopoulos didn't already say? Andreas Antonopoulos, he promotes self-custody, and Saylor, he makes fun of people doing self-custody, and he calls self-custody businesses BS salesmen. That's the type of guy you really want on Joe Rogan to teach the masses about Bitcoin. He's going to teach them about master. Come on, guys, use your head. I know you might have been in the Bitcoin or a Saylor cult or whatever, but snap out of it, okay? It's getting a little pathetic at this point. So moving on to Ross again. Okay, Ross Ulbricht explains why having a diverse ecosystem of blockchain is paramount for decentralization. Wow, he said that at a Bitcoin conference in front of all these maxis. That's really interesting. I would love to hear, if you're a maxi out there, I would love to hear what your thoughts are with this discussion down below. I'm all ears on that one. That's very interesting, because I didn't think that people that weren't Bitcoin maxis were actually allowed to go there. So moving on to stable coins now. Okay, so we all know that the Bitcoin conference had a lot of stable coin talk. I mean, look no further than what Heidi posted a couple days ago.
Stablecoin, 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 stablecoin.
Okay, so let's discuss this. Trump administration has awarded Palantir nearly $1 billion of contracts to compile data on Americans. This isn't a joke. I actually thought this was like a joke until I actually researched it. So creating detailed portraits of Americans based on government data is not just a pipe dream. The Trump administration has already sought access to hundreds of data points on citizens and others through government databases, including their bank account numbers, the amount of student debt, their medical claims, and any disability status. And here's the interesting part. As I predicted when I first heard about Doge, I told you it was a Trojan horse for CBDCs because, through Doge, they can track all the expenditures. Well, with a central bank digital currency or a stable coin, they'll be able to track everything as programmable money, okay? And they're going to be able to track all of your expenditures. Now, check this out. Doge is planning a hackathon at the IRS. It wants easier access to taxpayer data. Doge operatives have reportedly referred to the software company Palantir, which is Peter Thiel's company, as a possible partner in creating a mega API at the IRS, sources told Wired. Very interesting. So what's happening right now is that they're getting people used to the CBDC or stablecoin now, and now a government stablecoin. So there's going to be the free market stablecoins, and there's going to be government stablecoins, which will be central bank digital currencies. I hope you're connecting the dots. I think you are now. I think people are finally doing that after me talking about this for, actually Heidi called it 2 years ago, actually 2.5 years ago in France. You can check out that video as well. Okay, so let's check out global debt. Okay, so if you think Doge is going to save your butt, save the United States with all this wasteful spending, check this out. Global debt has hit an all-time high of $324 trillion. Check this chart out. It's not lying. This number is going to keep on going up. Plus, the US is now at 36, last time I checked, $36.92 trillion, almost at 37. Guys, that number is never going down. I don't care what Doge does. We all know it's a Trojan horse. At this point, I hope you do. What's going to happen is you're going to see crazy amounts of inflation. And guess what loves inflation? Bitcoin. Bitcoin has 21 million supply. That's it. Okay. And it's like, where else are you going to put your money? You're going to put it in stocks? Stocks are dying. You look at the Magnificent Seven. Even Nvidia is down, even after their great earnings. Look at Apple stock. Look at Google stock. Look at Tesla. It's down. They're all down. But guess what's not down? Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still at $105,000. And tomorrow, I'm going to do a video on something called the double top. Okay, so if you don't know what that is, it's when, remember back last bull market when Bitcoin hit 65 or 66,000, then it dropped down 55%. And then it went up to $69,000. Is that legit? Do you think we've hit a double top this cycle? I'm going to cover that tomorrow. So in the meantime, check out learningcrypto.com where you can see my market updates and you can start educating yourself on the crypto space because it is full of mines. And we are there to take the mines, throw them out to make it a nice, pleasant path for you so you're not overwhelmed. All right, talk to you soon.